Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we are checking out the new Aurora knife and tool, HIVEMIND. And we also have a knife that they already have released that is also for sale on their site, the Truffles. We'll talk about that here in a second. So this is kind of an evolution from the Truffles, so to speak. They took 100 different blade of the most common blade shapes that people carry for EDC and, put them over a thing, and this is what they got. So it is the most common, most simplistic knife design that people carry, which is really cool. I tend to like to add a little flair to mine because I do love this blade shape and, the handle design and everything. But there's also something that's very appealing to something so clean. But it's also a very useful design. We have almost a spear point blade, or basically a spear point blade. One of my favorite blade shapes. Very good geometry, nice and slicey. S35 VN, 8.1 inches overall. And I love that they but they put a better plunge grind and choil on here. This one, it was okay, but it could have been deeper. You don't have a lot of life there. With this one, they definitely improved it, which they did say, from my first review of the Truffles, which I do have, by the way. You can go and check that out. Now, this guy has, oh yeah, by the way, I should have said this from the start. They both sport the roundhouse lock, which is something Aurora Knife and Tool came up with, and it's basically a pivot button lock, right? So you use the pivot, but it has a leaf spring in there, which one is pushing this way, and then a leaf spring to push the liner this way. So instead of pushing, the liner this way, when you push this, it's pulling the liner back, which is pretty cool. Very cool idea, very cool setup. I can see the liner is a sub liner lock. It is inset and screwed in. And then the other side has lots of weight relieving. The weight is, in my opinion, really light. It's like 4 point something ounces. To me, it's light. For the size and everything, this is very lightweight to me. Very well balanced too. Something I definitely appreciate about a knife. It's very easy to manipulate. And then the fidget factor is insane. We'll talk about that in a second. Titanium scales, titanium backspacer, and a titanium mill pocket clip. You can see we have TA hardware all the way around. I like how they did the copper and the copper there. That does add a little accent. I wish there was something copper over here. I don't know what, maybe, I don't know, maybe just like that, just do a pivot like that where this is a pivot collar. That would have been cool. Now this one has a front flipper. The Truffles had a front flipper too, but also a regular flipper, which we're going to talk about here in a second. This one does not have the regular flipper, so you don't have, when you open it, you don't have that in the way. Not that it's in the way, but I'm just saying it's not there. This makes it very, very ergonomic for the choke up. Now with the choke up, you want to be careful not to put your finger right on that button. The button is proud, so you can hit it by accident if you're not careful, but it's very unlikely, very, very comfortable in the hand. It has really, really good ergos, great height, great width, nice chamfers around the edges. The action, this one has a lighter detent, and because of that, it is just redonkulously smooth, like on another level of smooth, because the liner is what acts as the detent, just like a liner lock. So if that has less tension on it, then the detent has less tension, which also means that when the blade is dropping, it has less tension holding it, so slowing it down. Basically it has less tension, slowing it down. So and then also, when you push the button, it's completely out of the way anyway, so it's just free falling. The detent for the reverse flick is on the lighter side, but it also makes it super, super fidgety. And then the front flipper, I would say, is perfect. It's really well tuned for the front flipper. So I'd say the detent is more set up for this particular front flipper. You can do all the little tricks and everything. The thing is it's hard for me to say which one I like more because I understand why there's a lighter detent here. I do think that maybe if it was slightly stronger, it might be better, but I also know that this front flipper works so well. So I guess you kind of got to decide which one's more important to you. With this one, you have 3 forms of deployment, so the detent's stronger on this one, which I do appreciate because I really like the detent for the flipper, but it is a little bit strong for the front flipper. Not that you can't do it, obviously, but we'll talk more about that here in 1 second. All in all, though, really, really well done. You know, the work is very well done. I love the geometry, the shape. You know, it's very centered towards use. I like that, you know, because that's very important to me. The window for the reverse flick, you have plenty of access. You know, you can do it with your ring finger. You can probably do it with your pinky. Thumb flick is not as easy, but you can do it. You know, they have a chamfer right there, so it does, and you see how it's like kicked back a little bit. That was actually really smart. They put a little kickback right there, so it is easier. I think that's easier than this one. Yeah, it is. That's what I was wondering, because this one's the more difficult one. I'm sorry, this one's fine for the thumb flick. This was the one that I had issues with, which is not issues. It's not issues. Obviously, I can do it, but I have to almost like thrust my thumb rather than just flick it. But the reverse flick and, you know, flipper tab is really, really well done on this. Like I said, the detent's definitely stronger on that one, and it's more appealing to me for the other deployments, for the reverse flick and the flipper, which this one does not have a regular flipper. A little bit less desirable for the front flipper on that one. Yeah, let's check out this other one really quick. So, again, has the same locking system, the roundhouse lock, and you know, the one issue that I'm going to have, because these have very similar, well, first of all, these have very similar attributes, right? The ergos, they're not exactly the same. This is different because it has this tail, but both of them are very, very comfortable. Yeah, they're both very comfortable, basically in any grip. I can't really find one that is, either one is better on. I think they're both going to be better in different ways because they are very similar, but they do have some differences. So as far as this one goes, I like the dual ground tanto. I think it has a nice aggressive look. They went with the curved front end up here instead of an American tanto. I think if they did do an American tanto, this would have made this more pronounced. I think when you, not saying everybody has to do this, but the reason why I went with a slight recurve on mine was, one, to make it trap materials. This is the prototype. Where it is. Which we are dropping this on February 17th, 12 p.m. Central Time. So the recurve traps material. So if you need to grab a rope, you're not going to slip. When you're slicing, this little edge feels like a 4-inch blade. You can just stay locked in. You can do repeat cuts really fast. And then it has a secondary pronounced tip. And you see how this one's more straight, because one, it makes this more pronounced, and the curve makes this more pronounced. Now, that's not going to be for everybody, but I'm saying that's my thought process behind that. This one, the secondary tip is not very pronounced. You can still use it because it is still a little bit pokey, but not like the primary. So for utility cuts, you're going to want to use the primary. You could use this for like opening boxes and stuff just fine. It has a nice straight edge here, which is going to help trap materials a little bit. Not quite like a recurve, but you'll basically get the same pressure all the way out to the secondary tip, which, you know, is really, really good. So it allows you to not slip out of the cut until you get past this tip, then it would. As far as negatives really quick, you know, between the two and everything, you know, I already did the video on this, so I'm not going to go through negatives on this one. I like them both, by the way. I think these are very, very well done. I think they're awesome knives. My biggest complaint with this one being, you know, and this isn't really, I don't even think this is a complaint. Like I said, the detent being a little bit lighter, I almost wonder if it was mine, I would probably tune it just slightly stronger. Maybe not. It's hard to say, man. I think you get used to having a strong front flipping detent, but here's the little issue. And it's not that big of a deal. I don't want to make it seem like it's a big deal. This front flipper is a little uncomfortable for me while it works, right? It works fine. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure it out, but something puts it in an awkward position. I don't know if it's this peak right here, and I want this like a little bit moved back, or if it's the sharp corner going up and like that, and then how it's kind of lower than right here. I think maybe if it was up and then went down this way, it would be a little bit better. I think that might be the case. Now, having the lighter detent does make this one a lot more satisfying than this one. This one I slip off of quite often. But there's just something about the front flipper that feels slightly off. And I'm talking about ever so slightly. Like nothing that would be a deal breaker or make you not want to get it. You absolutely would still want to get it because it's still really, really well done. I just feel like with the stronger detent, it makes me feel like this is just slightly awkward with the stronger detent. So I can understand maybe why they went with a little bit lighter. You know, sometimes I'm just saying things as I'm thinking them. So, you know, if I'm kind of seems like I'm beating something up or talking about, I'm just saying what's on my mind as I think about it. You know, I try to do it the most honest way possible. And, you know, sometimes, you know, like if I have a knife for review, I get to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb. This isn't one of those. This is just a first impressions. I'm just saying my thoughts as I'm thinking them because I do not have this very long and I do have to ship it along. But as far as the negatives go, that'd be one negative. The front flipper, if I did increase the detent, it'd feel maybe a little bit more awkward. But as far as the detent goes on this, it does feel light for the reverse flick, the reverse and thumb flick. For the front flipper, that's where, you know, I've already said it. The clip, it could be smoother. When I pull it out, my thick jeans do fit. It will fit all the way in my pocket, so it's not horrible. And it's okay on the way in, but on the way out, it clicks over the seam of my pants and I can see a little wear spot. Not bad, but like if it was going to be like 10 being the best clip in the world, 1 being the worst, it's like a 5, you know, just, you know, an average clip. But yeah. The next thing is, like I said, the accents. I wish the copper accent was moved over here. He did say something about like if they get the 200 backers or whatever, which this is affordable, by the way. For if you back the Kickstarter, it's a great price. The price does go up though after a certain date. So you have, I think March 1st is when it starts, the pre-order, and I think it's like $179, and then I think in April, it changes back to the original price, something like that. Just check out the site. You can go to Aurora Knife and Tool and, you know, go through the site and see what you think. All in all, I like it. I've always liked this. I liked it since the first time I got it on the channel in the past. And I know a lot of other people did appreciate it and like it too, because I know the video, a lot of people wound up getting these from that video. So, and, you know, I can see why. It's an attractive knife that's very well done and, you know, has a lot of little details that make it, you know, unique to some extent. Work hard, stay tough. Till next time. Peace.